Everyone on Instagram right now is selling you the same dream. Buy a Mac Mini, install an agent, connect it to your inbox, connect it to your CRM, walk away. The creator just got hired by OpenAI, the reels have 7 million views. The comments are full of engineers typing "this changes everything." I bought the Mac Mini, I set up the isolated environment, I installed OpenClaw. And I ran it through every task I could think of. Here is what I found. I could not find a single task. I was willing to hand it unsupervised. It can do the work. That was never the question. The question is what happens when it gets wrong, and whether you find out before your client does. Let me be precise about what I tested. Slack and Jira integrations, not viable. The agent can read the ticket and summarize the thread, but it does not understand the political or organizational context. It does not know who it is pinging in a public leadership channel. Email. The agent will draft, but the moment you give it send access, you have signed a blank check. It sends as you. You do not know what it will say to a client after misreading their email. You cannot predict how it will respond to a negotiation. It does not recognize as one. Notion. This one is the most dangerous. Write access to a Notion workspace is write access to your institutional memory. The agent rewrites what it thinks is redundant. It reorganizes based on patterns that make sense to a model and not to a team that has been working inside that structure for 2 years. I isolated every system, I mapped every permission, and the answer was the same every time. The blast radius is not contained. That's not a software problem, that's an architecture problem. Here is what the 7 million view reel does not show you. It does not show you the recovery time after an agent sends an unsupervised email to a client at 2 a.m. making a commitment no human authorized. It does not show you the conversation you have when a prospect forwards you your own agent's reply and asks what it means. It does not show you a Notion workspace where 3 months of architecture decisions have been reorganized into a structure that made sense to a model and is now unreadable to the team. None of this is fiction. Every one of these scenarios is one wrong permission away from production. The engineers buying Mac Minis this weekend are not thinking about blast radius. They are thinking about the demo. The demo is always controlled. Production is not. The question is not what can this agent do for me. The question is what can this agent break, and can I reverse it in under 10 minutes? If you cannot answer that, and most people who watched that reel cannot, then you do not have an automation strategy. You have an uncontrolled variable inside your business. Agents are real. The use case is real. The leverage is real. But leverage without control architecture is not leverage. It is exposure. Here is how architects think about this. First, the empty mandate test. Before any agent is deployed, you define the task in one sentence. Not a category, not a workflow, one specific repeatable task. Summarize Tier 1 support tickets into a daily Slack brief. That gets a deployment date. Manage my communications does not. If you cannot write it in one sentence, the agent has no job description and no deployment date. Second, the blast radius map. You list every system the agent can touch. For every system, you answer one question. What is the worst action this agent can take with this permission? And can I reverse it in under 10 minutes? If the answer is no, the permission is off the table. Third, staged promotion. You start in read-only. The agent observes, summarizes, reports. It does not write, it does not send. You study its behavior. You document where it hallucinates. After 30 validated interactions in isolation, you consider expanding scope. One permission at a time, one system at a time. This is not slower than the Mac Mini setup. This is the setup that survives contact with the real business. The executor connects everything on day one and calls it productivity. The architect contains the blast radius on day one and calls it architecture. Those two people are not competing for the same outcome. They are not even playing the same game. Members of the private order already have the full deployment protocol, the blast radius assessment framework, the staged permission model, the exact decision tree for when agents are leverage and when they are liability. They had the architectural verdict before the hype reached your feed. That's the point of the order. We do not build generic tutorials. We do not sell beginner bootcamps. It's a standing intelligence operation, production-ready blueprints, and the architectural frameworks you need to survive the market shift. If you are still making decisions based on Instagram Reels, you're always going to be behind the people who are not. The link is below. The blueprint is inside. That's the verdict.